Welcome to the Art of Woo podcast with your host, Lee Erickson. Okay, so you guys are gonna laugh because I never thought I would be talking about the topics of Taylor Swift on this podcast, but here I am. I'm joining the conversation, jumping on that mainstream train. No, but I have kind of a different outlook, I think. I'd like to think. Basically, this morning, I was not planning on recording, but I kind of just had this like strike of inspiration, I guess you could say. And so a little backstory, like I do not identify as a Taylor Swift fan, unlike like a third of the population on the planet. And it's kind of this on-running joke with two of my like childhood best friends and I that I'm the one that doesn't necessarily like her. And it doesn't mean I don't not like her. I just am not like a fan. I'm not a Swiftie. And they are. They love her. They speak highly of her. You know, like everybody else. They love her music, and we have this on-running joke that like basically I suck because I don't listen to her. I don't obsess over as much as they do. And they like to make fun of me for it and like gang up on me because I'm like the odd man out or woman. And so here's the thing. This morning I was doing some journaling, and like I always do, I'm like such a multitasker and I don't really recommend it. That's just kind of how I function. I don't know why. I would actually like to not be a multitasker, to be honest. But anyways, I was journaling, and then I was also like had my phone open, and I was like probably like checking YouTube to see like my own personal videos and everything. And the recommended video below that was a Taylor Swift video, but it was like the NPR Tiny Desk concert and series, which I love. I mean, I think that's such an awesome thing to watch. If you aren't familiar, I would highly recommend it. A lot of really great musicians come in there, and it's this, obviously super small setting, literally in the NPR office. And they play music and just tell stories about their songs and whatnot. So anyways, so Taylor Swift was on NPR Tiny Desk, and I think this is like a video from about like 4 years ago or so. And I had the inclination of like, you know what? I'm just going to watch this. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to watch this. And mind you, like the thing is I've actually never actually listened to a Taylor Swift song from like start to finish. I've never even given her a chance. I've never even like taken the time to listen to one of her songs, one of her albums, whatever. Watched her videos, nothing. So that's kind of ridiculous, right? I don't know. I think the big like thing that I realized in this was that I have, up until that moment, let the masses, I've let the entire like population, the media, whatever you want to say, like decide the opinion that I have for her for me. I've let them, conclude my decision about her. And what's up with that? Like, why? That's insane. So yeah, I watched it and it was great. It actually, I loved how she told stories about every one of her songs and like the influence behind it. And yeah, and again, they are all about like heartbreak and love and, heartbreak and love, which again, I think my preconceived, notions, my like, preconceived like opinion about her was kind of largely based upon that knowledge alone. And a lot of that was my own personal programming that I have, my own personal like internal dialogue my entire life up until this point, has like also contributed to this opinion, this decision about what I think about Taylor Swift. And I know that, like, in the end, and it's funny because, like, at the end of the day, who really gives a shit about my opinion about Taylor Swift? I don't know. If you're watching this, you might, which is great. Thanks for being here. But the thing is like, it really actually made me start to have some really big inner deep reflection. And I kind of started going the rabbit hole of like, why do I think that songs about love and heartbreak aren't as desirable? You know, like, why do I like, just not maybe don't enjoy listening to them as much as like a typical person, or obviously a Swiftie fan? Why is that? I think what it comes down to is like, so, I mean, I could go layers upon layers upon layers of really analyzing this, but my first reaction to this idea was like, okay, so I was raised in like an all-male household, literally a single dad and two brothers. I was the only girl. And so I was raised on like hip hop. I was raised on, 90s hip hop. And my older brothers were like my guiding light, obviously. They were my biggest influence. Like, they were the definition of cool for me growing up. And so I was raised on the Beastie Boys and Tribe Called Quest and The Roots and De La Soul. And it's, I still to this day think that all of those musicians are phenomenal. And excuse me, I grew up thinking that female singers, specifically white female pop singers, was like, A, not cool in my book, and B, just like almost maybe the sign of like weakness. Kind of just like, I remember, honestly, I do remember having like these opinions even when I was like 12 and 13 years old, when I probably should have been enjoying like Britney Spears, like a lot of my peers at that time. But I was like so not on the mainstream train, I think. And Brit, mad respect in the end, but I was definitely just not into it. Like, I just thought that female pop singers were just like, I think a sign of weakness almost. And like, what's up with that? Where does that come from? Because they weren't masculine. They weren't anywhere near like the kind of programming that I was raised in. A lot of them, again, most of them sang about love and heartbreak. And that to me almost represented like a sign of weakness. And I think like being vulnerable was like, to me, again, like something that was not desirable or like accepted, or something that was like okay to do in the public eye. So it's interesting. So, and I could go on and on about more of that, but you get the gist of like what I'm talking about is kind of my personal programming has essentially let me made me have this outside and obviously programmed opinion about someone who technically I had never even gave a chance personally to listen to her. And I even before that, I did kind of, I gathered that she is an amazing musician. There's a reason why people obsess about her. There's a reason why she is literally in like headlines every single day. And it's like, not even just today. I mean, people were talking about her almost 10 years ago about how amazing she was too. So it's pretty amazing. I actually have mad respect for her and her long sustainable career, and her just, I mean, obviously like she's done some incredible things as far as like I don't know the specifics, but like re-recording her own her music to basically have the rights to it. I think that's insane. That's awesome. And just shows so much like dedication and kind of just like power in a sense. And that's awesome. Good for her. So anyways, the other big point that I also like wanted to like explore a little bit was that in this reflection that I was just kind of talking about was I had kind of this like reflection moment even more about myself, right? And it's like in a lot of manifestation work that I have been kind of studying and just practicing in the last like decade or so, a lot is just manifestation, and specifically through the program To Be Magnetic. And I can also like link that below if you guys want to, but it's an amazing program that, you know, ultimately the goal is to like manifest your dreams, right? Which is another huge buzz topic right now. And it should be, because, you know, again, I think that we all are worthy and we all are capable of manifesting exactly what we desire in this lifetime, especially if it's for the greater good. But getting sidetracked. So a lot of that work has to do with reflecting on like your shadow work. And I think a lot of you in kind of like the spiritual community, again, probably are very familiar with shadow, that term. And the shadow, your personal shadow, basically has a lot to do with things that are a part of you, that is like something that you were programmed to think, to believe, especially early on in childhood, to kind of just like stuff away and just like tuck away and like not ever exposed to the public eye, because out of like a, you know, protection for yourself, to survive, to be cool, to be popular, whatever that specific scenario was. So for me, for example, I think I actually have a lot of shadow in specifically just kind of drawing attention to myself, which is, again, like me doing this right now. I think I'm overcoming a lot of that. I never saw myself making, a podcast or anything like that, videos. And I don't know where exactly that came from. I'm actually still doing some work on that, but back to like, again, like female pop stars, like I think this is where that kind of comes full circle. For me, I think like being vulnerable, I think expressing my emotions, talking about love and heartbreak and like things like that are part of my shadow, which is also very interesting. Again, raised in like this all male household where you're taught to be strong and resilient, and expressing your emotions and your feelings is in a sense a sign of weakness. So it's like, this just kind of hit me over the head with this like insane kind of, I don't know, this realization this morning when I was thinking about her more and more. And I'm just like, dude, I think I have shadow aspects about myself that are also like determining my opinion about her. And yeah, I mean, it's worth exploring. So in conclusion, I just wanted to kind of pop in here and share this with everybody, because I think we can apply this idea to a lot of things in our lives. Excuse me. I think like even my last episode, I was talking a lot about Pluto entering Aquarius, and a lot of, you know, power dynamics are going to be shifting like massively as we enter more into the Aquarius time period of Pluto, because we're going to be really holding ourselves and our ideas and our decisions, how we navigate through the world as individuals, is going to be a very powerful transformation we are all going through in the next couple of decades. Letting ourselves and our own decisions making a decision for whatever it is that's presented in front of us, instead of mass media, instead of everybody else's opinions, the collectives. It's going to be, do your own research. Watch that Tiny Desk YouTube video. Listen to the song. Actually really listen to what that person has to say, or whatever it is, before letting the collective perspective determine your personal viewpoint. Yeah, I think that's kind of a big deal. And again, I'm definitely not perfect, and I am learning as I go. And I just wanted to share that with you today. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and looking forward to sharing more along the way. So cheers.